अमेरिकाको यात्रा जारी छ। हेर्नुहोस्, यो देख्दै हुनुहुन्छ नि, इनर स्पेस क्याभर्न भन्दो रहेछ होइन, गुफा रहेछ, एउटा लामो 1.5 माइलको गुफा। अब यो इन्ट्रेस्टिङ कुरा चाहिँ के छ भन्नुहुन्छ भने नि, यो चाहिँ हाइवे हो, I-35 हाइवे, जसमा यताबाट जाने 4वटा लेन, उताबाट आउने 4वटा लेन। यस्तो हाइवेको मुनि भनौँ कति मिटर मुनि चाहिँ यो गुफा रहेछ। यो अमेरिकन गुफा तपाईँहरूलाई म देखाउँदैछु। यो अमेरिकाको टेक्सास राज्यको जर्ज टाउन भन्ने सहरमा छ। म त्यतैतिर लाग्दैछु यो गुफा हेर्नको निम्ति। आउनुहोस् मसँग गुफा हेर्न जाउँ। टेक्सासको राजधानी अस्टिनबाट नजिक रहेको जर्ज टाउनमा रहेको यो गुफा हेर्नको निम्ति यो बाटो भएर म अनवरत रूपमा अगाडि बढिरहेको छु। यहाँहरूलाई गुफा सम्बन्धी विविध जानकारी पनि दिने गर्दछु। अब यो गुफा चाहिँ यही मैले देखाउँदै गरेको भुइँमुनि छ। हेर्नुहोस् है, यो भुइँमुनि छ। यसको यो यहाँ होर्डिङ बोर्ड देखाइएको छ भने गुफा जाने सानो घर छ, त्यो घरको मुनिबाट व्यवस्था मिलाइएको रहेछ। यो गुफा हेर्नु पर्यो। अमेरिकाको भीमकाय गुफा हेर्नको निम्ति आइपुगेको छु र $25 को टिकट लाग्दो रहेछ। त्यो टिकट काटिसकेपछि चाहिँ अब यहाँ लाइनमा लागिराखेको छु। यो भुइँमुनि चाहिँ भीमकाय गुफा छ, त्यो गुफा हेर्नको निम्ति आइराखेको छु। अब यहाँ चाहिँ हाम्रो स्टार्ट हुँदो रहेछ इनर स्पेस पस्ने ठाउँ। त्यसको निम्ति चाहिँ यहाँ सबै बसिरहेछन्, म पनि बस्दैछु। यहाँहरूलाई चाहिँ अमेरिकामा कस्तो खालको भीमकाय गुफा हुन्छ भन्ने कुरा यो एपिसोडमा देखाउन खोज्दैछु।
Lastly, please don't take any videos, but photography is allowed. We only ask that you don't use flash photography on the bats, since it can wake them up and startle them. We want the cave to last for generations to come, so remember to follow the Cavern motto. Take nothing but pictures, leave nothing but footprints, and kill nothing but time. Thanks for listening. I'm going to hand things over to your tour guide now, so have fun.
I'm gonna go ahead and put this back on that bat videos and everything else. So before we get started, just a little recap of the rules. We've got no food or drinks. Watch your head. We didn't go over that in the video, but I'm gonna give another safety warning when we get down there. Once we get through this door, I'm going to ask that you wait by those stop signs halfway down the hill as I check your tickets to make sure you're on the correct tour. Go ahead and follow me.
17 वर्षकी नानीले हामीलाई यो गुफा टुर गराउँदैछन्, अर्थात् गुफाभित्र प्रवेश गराउँदैछन्, सबै कुरोको व्याख्या गर्दैछन्। हामी यो गुफाको गेटमै छौँ। हेर्नुहोस् त, हाम्रो टिम करिब 15 देखि 20 जना जतिको टिम छ र त्यो टिमलाई लिएर सानो टर्च बाल्दै एउटी नानी सानी 17 वर्षकी नानी चाहिँ हामीलाई यो गुफाभित्र टुर गराइरहेकी छिन्। गुफा अँध्यारो छ र अब यो गुफा चाहिँ बिस्तारी तल्लोतिर हुँदै जाँदो रहेछ। र यो गुफामा देख्दै हुनुहुन्छ नि, यो अँध्यारो छ, बाटामा अलिअलि बत्तीहरू राखिएको छ। यसभित्रका जीवजन्तुहरूलाई फरक नपरोस्, नभागुन् भन्नको निम्ति चाहिँ डिम लाइट गरेर अँध्यारो पारेर राखिएको हुँदो रहेछ। अलिक कस्तो महसुस हुने, अक्सिजन पनि अलिक कम भए जस्तो लाग्दो रहेछ। अब उबड खाबड बाटो, यद्यपि बाटोलाई राम्रै बनाएको रहेछ, नलडुन् भनेर सानो रेलिङ अलि अप्ठ्यारो ठाउँमा लगाएको पनि रहेछ। अब यस्तो बाटोमा हामीलाई तीन गाइडले लिएर अगाडि प्रवेश गरिरहेकी छिन्। यो भित्र चाहिँ कस्तो रहेछ भन्नुहुन्छ भने यो गुफा 20 देखि 25 मिलियन इयर्स पुरानो, अर्थात् 2 करोड वर्ष भन्दाखेरि पनि पुरानो गुफा अरे यो गुफा। हेर्नुहोस्, अनि यो गुफा देखा परेको चाहिँ पृथ्वीमा, अर्थात् पृथ्वीको माथिल्लो सर्फेसमा थोरै देखा परेको चाहिँ 14,000 वर्षभन्दा अगाडि चाहिँ थोरै देखा परेको रहेछ भन्ने कुरा वैज्ञानिकको अनुसन्धानबाट देखिएको छ। भने यी नानीले यहाँ यसरी टर्च बालेर यो गुफाभित्रका हरेक विषयवस्तुहरू हामीलाई देखाउँदैछन्। गुफाभित्र विशेष गरेर एडवर्ड्स ग्रुपको रकहरू चट्टानहरू रहेछ। चट्टानमध्ये लाइमस्टोन र डोलोमाइट भन्ने दुई खालका चाहिँ चट्टानहरू विशेष गरेर रहेको देखियो र त्यो चट्टानबाट बनेका विभिन्न किसिमका अद्भुत आकृतिहरू चाहिँ ठ्याक्कै एसियातिर हो भने भगवान नै हो भने जस्तो लाग्ने खालको आकृतिहरू पनि छ। आउनुस् म अझै यहाँहरूलाई देखाउँदैछु।
Whenever you see those carpets, just know to walk on them, and whenever you see those railings, make sure to hold them. We've got some wet floors from our dripping ceiling, and I don't want anybody to lose traction, although we don't have any here. That's why the camera's here.
Does it ever flood?
It used to. We'll actually be talking about that later. Okay. But our cave floods very slowly if it were to ever flood. So you don't have to worry about that. If you look back there, you can see those colored lights. That means our cave goes back 50 to 100 feet in that direction. So whenever you see those colored lights, just know that the cave keeps going that way. Before we get started, does anybody have any questions?
Can we go look over there?
I'd say not to go past.
No. Can we go like over there?
Oh yeah, you can go. This is one of our smallest rooms, so I'm going to ask that we stop a bit about right here. And if you're cave sized, you can go ahead and hop up front for a really good view. Awesome. Don't worry, if you don't get a good view of this room, you'll be able to pass by it in a minute, but I'm going to ask that we squeeze in like we know each other real well. This is one of our smallest rooms. Ring. That's how we get that hollow tube. But once that tube is filled up with calcite, that water still needs to escape, so it travels along the outside and forms stalactites. We've got some really small stalactites over here, and some bigger ones back there. When that calcite lowers to the ground, however, it forms a stalagmite. Now we call them stalagmites because they stand tall and mighty. When a stalagmite meets a stalactite, they kiss, and they form a column. Now if you ever want to remember what these are, just know that we call them how we see them. We're about to be passing through by something called Temptation Stone. As you know, we're not supposed to touch anything in this cave because the oils from your hands can prevent rot growth. We consider our cave formations alive, and by preventing that growth, you are killing them. Each handprint, the oils from it, will prevent rot growth for 10 to 100 years. That's why we've dedicated... This is Temptation Stone.
Temptation.
If you touch it, you'll notice it has a very waxy texture, and some of it is dark. That is the effect your hands would have on the rest of the cave.
Yeah. यो टुर गराउने नानीको पछि पछि म लागिराखेको छु र यसरी टर्च बाल्दै हामी गुफाभित्र प्रवेश गरिरहेका छौँ। अलिअलि पानी भएको हिलो हिलो खालको जमिन पनि आउँदैछ। ठाउँ ठाउँमा टाउकै ठोकिने खालको सिलिङ पनि रहेको देखिन्छ भने यो ठाउँ ठाउँमा उभिएर चाहिँ यी नानीले यो भित्र के छन्, किन यसरी फर्मेसन भयो, कसरी निर्माण भयो, कति वर्ष अगाडि भन्ने कुराको व्याख्या गर्छिन् र यो करिब करिब चाहिँ हामीले हिँड्न योग्य केभ चाहिँ गुफा चाहिँ 1.5 अर्थात् 1.5 किलोमिटरको रहेछ भन्ने कुरा थाहा लाग्दैछ।
Some more flint over here. You can see that exposed flint.
What is that?
This is flint.
Oh, okay.
It's oxidized, so we call it chert as well. got some growth back there. All of the stalactites and stalagmites you see are growing.
Okay.
Especially right here, where we've got some water activity.
Yes.
Can the back of the group hear me all right? Looks like we've still got people touching that stone. I don't blame you. These formations never get old. Well, they get really old, but the sights of them don't.
Hello, hello.
I keep wanting to go right.
I know.
No, it makes more sense though, because you see the formations on the way in.
This is the room where we normally point out all the chert in the ceiling. But as you can see, you can't see the flint in it, so... As long as you can see this light in this area right here, you'll be able to see the demonstration. But before we get to that, I'll have you move your attention up to these rocks up here. This line up here, this is a rift off of the Balcones fault zone. When you think of fault lines, what do you think of?
Earthquake.
That's right. Don't worry. This was last active 25 million years ago, so we're safe. But when it was active, that carbonic acid, that weak soda water, would come into our cave and dissolve these rooms into being open spaces. When you don't brush your teeth and you drink a lot of soda, what happens? That's right. Well, we can think of our cave like a cavity in the earth, because that's exactly what it is. But as you'll notice, if you look up, you'll see there's no stalactites. That's because this white rock all around this room is very special. This is dolomite. Dolomite actually absorbs water, so it would absorb all the water needed for those stalactites to form. I'm going to be able to show you that demonstration over here. Dolomite is like chalk, so if you did put a little bit of dolomite in a bucket of water, it would dissolve. And that's how we got these rooms. But if you put a little bit of water on dolomite, so you'll see here, it only takes a couple of seconds, and it's completely dry. That is the power of dolomite. And we call this room our breakdown room, not because it's time to break dance or to break down, but because when that water came in here and dissolved all that rock, it was supporting the ceiling. And when it left, air is not as strong as water, so that ceiling broke down, and it now supports itself. That's how we got a lot of our cave structures today. As we move on into our next room, we can see some carpets, so make sure to walk on those mats and watch your head as you follow me. Excuse. Unfortunately, this is one of our smaller rooms, so I'm going to ask that we get a little bit closer together. Once you get past that light over there in that big rock structure, you're not going to be able to see the room very well. Looks like we've got another tour group coming up, so we're going to actually move to the left. So closer to these formations. Yeah, nice up close to you, don't worry. We'll have them pass behind us as I start to explain what this room is all about. This is our first formation room. We call it that not because it was the first room formed or the first room discovered, but it was the first room that we had fully mapped out all of these formations. An example of that are these two columns right here. They're the largest columns that we're going to be seeing today. Go ahead and pass by. You're good.
Okay, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Just wash your hands, please. We're gonna pass by quietly.
Thank you. If you move to the side a little bit, you see this is almost a column. We've got a stalactite and a stalagmite almost meeting. This is what we call our kissing column, and it's a romantic story to swoon over. Our formations grow about the size of an ice cube every 100 years. And in about 50 years is when we'll predict these two will meet and kiss. So go ahead and come back in 50 years, you'll be able to see their wedding. I will not be your tour guide, so you'll have to settle for second best. Although this is the formation room, I like to call it my ice cream parlor. I don't know if it's because I've been down here for too long, or if I'm just hungry right now, but I think that stalagmite looks an awful lot like a chocolate ice cream cone. And the snow crust looks like vanilla. What better toppings to go on these ice cream cones than some chocolate mud sauce? And some caramel from our caramel flowstone right here. You know, I always personally like to top off dessert with a little bit more dessert. With our Texas-sized ice cream sandwich right back here. What flavor do you think it is? Vanilla?
Rocky Road.
That's right, it's Rocky Road! Now before we move on into our next room, I just have to give a little safety warning. What we're about to go through is Headache Alley. As you can see, those stalactites are pretty gnarly, and I don't want anybody on my tour to be leaving with a headache. So make sure to watch your heads as you follow.
सुरुङमा गएकै छौँ यो सुरुङ छ टाउको ठुकिएला भन्ने पनि डर छ यसरी सुरुङमा गइएको छ अब कत्रो ठुलो रहेछ नि त यसमा त पुरै गजबको रहेछ नि यो ठाउँ त फेरि वारपारै रहेछ ठुलो गुफाको ठुलो भाग रहेछ के अरे यो अब यो भुइँमा के छ के हो यो गुफाभित्र रहेको यता पनि देखाउँदैछु दायाँ बायाँ माथितिर पनि देखाउँदैछु हेर्नुहोस् यो त गजबले हेर्नै पर्ने खालको चिज रहेछ क्या त्यो माथिबाट त्यसरी झर्छ अनि यहाँ यस्तै यो बन्दै जाँदो रहेछ ढिस्को बन्दै जाँदो रहेछ विभिन्न खालको मिनरल्सहरू झर्दो रहेछ त्यहाँ के हो दुलो जस्तो फेरि
Is that the back of my group over there? That's the rocks were strong enough to support the weight of the highway. In doing so, out of the 23 core samples they took, 8 of them broke into our cave. They ended up even losing a few drill bits. There's one right here, and there's one behind you leaking water, right over there. And there's one even further behind you on the ceiling, way over there. By the time they had drilled into our cave that many times, they knew if there was something down here. So they widened one of those samples to 2 feet in diameter. Sorry, that's 2 feet wide. And they sent 2 men down standing on a drill bit. And they landed on Bat Guano Island. And we call this Bat Guano Island because that dark stain right there, that's bat poop. But it's not just any bat guano, it's ancient bat guano. And I know that because if we look back up at the ceiling, this stain right here was made by a giant bat colony. But if you'll remember, our cave had no natural...
Is this mud or something else?
This is, yeah, so we're working on like paved concrete, and we've got our calcite right here. And they've got some wires running through, so they probably paved that as well. This is our stone of time. It's 400,000 years old, and 3 to 4 days after it rains, water comes in from here and forms this little waterfall. You can kind of follow it. In the summer, it runs dry, and this rock actually sparkles. The fast-flowing water forms these little ripples, and the slow-moving water makes these nice designs on the side. That water all drains into this 2-foot, 100-gallon holding tank right here. It's very crystal clear. Would you drink this cave water?
Yes.
Yes. Very good to hear you're adventurous. This water actually goes into the Edwards Aquifer. So every time you pour that cup of water or you turn on your shower, some of that water probably comes from here. It's completely safe to drink, although we won't be doing it today. So just find a little bit of comfort that you are paying to drink this cave water. As we move on into our next room, you can see some railings and you can see some carpets. So make sure to hold on to those railings and walk on those carpets.
अझै भित्र गइरहेका छौँ गुफाभित्रै फरक फरक खालका गुफा छन् यतातिर जान प्रतिबन्ध रहेछ यतापट्टि जाँदैछौँ हेर्नुहोस् त यहाँ कस्ता कस्ता आकृतिहरू छन् छतका आकृति The ceiling is different here.
We'll talk about this. This is what this stop is for. You can see a core sample right up here.
Right.
Sometimes we see bats on the ceiling because of the light color. Those bats stick out. They're very, very small looking, but it doesn't look like we have any today.
$35?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll actually point out when we're going to be on the other side of it.
Okay.
Should be in the next room.
Yes.
This is our natural cave floor.
Does water flow this way?
Sometimes. You can see it's very muddy. That's from this dripping all over the floor.
Yes.
We're actually going to talk about floods in a minute.
Okay.
This is our natural cave floor. Don't worry if you can't look happily ever after. On their
4.5. Okay, that sounds good.
Now, if you didn't enjoy that story, or if you're more science oriented,
Yes.
there is a white line at the bottom of this castle. That white line marks the flood water level that this cave flooded to in 1997. Now, you don't have to worry about that today, because not only do caves flood very slowly, we can actually measure it by the day. That's how slowly they flood.
Okay.
But we're probably never going to see waters this high ever again. The amount of people drawing from the Edwards Aquifer doesn't allow for these waters to get as high anymore. So it's a nice little marker in time to show how high those waters could really get. Before we move on into our next room, I have to give another
And this must be the elephant.
Yes, this is our nice elephant. He's very loud, but he seems pretty quiet today.
Yeah.
He's very sparkly though. Very nice.
अझै भित्र जाँदैछौँ अझै भित्र अब यहाँ टाउको ठोकेला जस्तो छ अलिक गरेर हिँड्नुपर्ने हो यतातिर अँध्यारै अँध्यारो कोच्याकुरो छ ल हेर्नुहोस् टुर गाइडले लिएर जाँदैछिन् मजा तालले माथिबाट त्यो अघि मैले गाडी कुदाएको हाइवे कुदिरहेछ व्हाइट टेल डियर यस्तो यस्तो पनि पेन्ट गरेर राखिएको रहेछ ब्ल्याक टेल्ड कोलम्बियन म्यामोथ ल हेर्नुहोस् यहाँ अब हजारौँ वर्ष अगाडिका जनावरको हड्डी समेत राखिएको छ यहाँ ल हेर्नुहोस् म्यामोथ हुन्छ बेबी कोलम्बियन म्यामोथ टुथ दाँत त्यस्तो रहेछ
Make sure to wash your head right here.
How long is this cave? How long?
Oh, the length of the cave?
Yes.
We're going to be walking 1.2 miles. The actual length of
Total.
the cave, I'm unsure of.
Okay.
So this tour, we're going to go into that room, and then we'll be heading back up shortly.
Okay, that sounds good. Very nice. ल हेर्नुहोस् यहाँ यो पोल फलामको के गर्न गाडेको रहेछ यहाँ ल हेर्नुहोस् कुनै जमानामा पानी बग्ने ठाउँ थियो होला यो भुइँमुनिबाट ल हेर्नुहोस् त
Sciences in the future, they left a lot of these bones still covered to better preserve them for the future. They did leave some out here for us to look at today, maybe some joint and finger bones over here, maybe an arm or a leg bone on this side. What bone do you think this is? It's just a rock. I got you, it's just a rock.
Just a rock.
And as mentioned before, that ladder
यो गुफाभित्रको सबैभन्दा ठुलो कोठो रहेछ यो। यसमा चाहिँ हड्डी भेटेको रहेछ क्या, त्यो लाखौँ वर्ष पुरानो जनावरहरूको हड्डी भेटेको रहेछ। त्यो अघि मैले देखाइसकेको छु। अब यो हो, अझै हामी भित्रभित्र जाँदैछौँ। हेर्नुहोस् अब कुरो के रहेछ भन्नुहुन्छ भने, यदि सानो खालको ठाउँमा तपाईँ निसासिने खालको अवस्था छ भने नआउनुहोस्। अक्सिजन अलिकति कम भयो भने समस्या हुन्छ भने पनि नआउनुहोस् होइन। होइन भनेदेखि आउँदा खासै केही फरक नपर्ने रहेछ। अब हामी करिब करिब यो गुफाको अन्तिम भागमा आइसकेका छौँ र अन्तिम भागका कुराहरू देखाइँदैछ। यदि यो नेपालमा हुन्थ्यो भने भगवान्सँग जोडेर के कुरो गरिसकिन्थ्यो होला। अब यो अमेरिकाको गुफा हो हेर्नुहोस्। त्यसकारण यसलाई वैज्ञानिक किसिमले सुरक्षित गरिएको छ र त्यही किसिमले सबैको निम्ति खोलिएको छ। माथिबाट धातुहरू मिनरलहरू झर्छ, त्यहीको आधारमा यो मुनिको चाहिँ संरचना बन्दै बन्दै जान्छ।
While we're waiting, we should notice these soda shelves over here. I don't know if you can tell by now, but stalactites are one of my play. And I know we're very wrong now. But
Yes.
back during the space race when it was us versus Russia, Inner Space Caverns used this room, a little advertising tool, to show people that there are some amazing things to see on and inside of the Earth, this being one of them. But because we were very wrong, we just call it Imagination Station now.
Imagination Station.
Yes.
And this might be the Mount Everest, right?
Yeah, it could be the Mount Everest, it could be a cupcake, it could be a castle.
Castle.
I think it's just me being really hungry, but I think this rock over here looks like Jaws eating a Dorito. Maybe it's a slice of cake, I don't know. But if we look over here, this is definitely the Titanic. We've got our stars up front and there are 3 cameramen. And a lot of people argue about this one too. Some people say it's a battleship. Some people say it's a grandma riding a motorcycle. Come on, let's be realistic. It's obviously the back of Godzilla. This cave formation right here, I'm actually going to leave this one up to you because it is Imagination Station after all. In the back of this room, if you don't want to test your imagination, there's a big old pile of dirt. That is the end of bone sink number 2. Congratulations, you've walked that half mile. You've walked that football field as well. We've made it. We've got one more room on this tour, and that's where we're going to try and do lights out. So, yes.
अर्को एउटा गुफा रहेछ। यो गुफामा हामी जाँदैछौँ फेरि। ल ल यो गुफाको एन्डिङ यतापट्टि रहेछ फेरि अर्को एउटा साइडमा। यो पानी पनि जमेको रहेछ हेर्नुहोस्। ओहो कस्तो कस्तो बनेको कि छानामा यस्तो बनेको छ। यो पानी हेर्नुहोस्, क्रिस्टल क्लियर वाटर भन्छ नि, त्यसलाई भन्छ। त्यस्तो पानी छ यहाँ। यो पोलहरू बने जस्तो हेर्नुहोस्, कस्तो मजाको बनेको छ कि। करिब 1 घन्टा र 30 मिनटको यो गुफाभित्रको यात्रा पुरा गर्दैछु र यो गुफा चाहिँ 1963 मा तो मैले माथि देखाएको हाइवे बनाउनको निम्ति ड्रिल गर्ने क्रममा फेला परेको रहेछ। अनि त्यसपछि चाहिँ टेक्सासको सरकारले यसलाई सुरक्षित गरेको रहेछ र 1966 देखि यो गुफा चाहिँ सर्वसाधारणहरूको भ्रमणको निम्ति खोलिएको रहेछ। वार्षिक लाखौँ व्यक्तिहरूले यसको भ्रमण गर्दा रहेछन्। यो भित्रको तापक्रम चाहिँ जहिले पनि 72 डिग्री हुने, गर्मीमा होस् कि चिसोमा होस् कि, अनि समरमा अर्थात् पानी परेको बेलामा पनि यहाँ चाहिँ बाढीहरू केही पनि आउँदो रहेनछ। अब यो खुला कहिले हुन्छ भन्नुहुन्छ भने मन्डेदेखि फ्राइडेसम्म, सोमबारदेखि शुक्रबारसम्म चाहिँ 9 बजे बिहानदेखि 4 बजे बेलुकासम्म भने शनिबार र आइतबार चाहिँ 10 बजेदेखि 5 बजेसम्म खुला रहने रहेछ। यस्तो खालको अद्भुत गुफा हेरिसके पछाडि अब यात्रा त अगाडि बढ्नै पर्ने थियो। मनभरि यो गुफाभित्रका धेरै कुराहरू राखेर म यसरी अगाडि बढेँ। अगाडि बढ्दै जाँदा यस्ता पुल पुलेसाहरू हुँदै यही हाइवेको मुनि चाहिँ यत्रो भीमकाय गुफा रहेको छ दर्शकवृन्द। अब यसरी चाहिँ अमेरिकाको यात्रा गर्ने क्रममा यस्ता धेरै खालका चाहिँ पुल पुलेसाहरू हुँदै अगाडि बढ्नुपर्ने हुन्छ। यस्तो भीमकाय गुफा यस्तरी गाडीहरू कुद्ने हाइवेको मुनि हुनु साह्रै गजबको कुरो लाग्यो मलाई। यो नहेरी नहुने खालको चिज वस्तु छ। यो एपिसोड हेरिदिनु भएकोमा हार्दिक धन्यवाद दिन्छु। सब्सक्राइब, लाइक, सेयर गर्न नबिर्सिनु होला। धन्यवाद।